Ray Van Vorse, born at Emerson Hospital.
What year was that?
What's that?
What year is that? How old are you?
What year was I born in
Yeah.
Emerson? July 15, 1929.
Okay.
2 months, I'll be 95 in 2 months.
Okay.
I've lived in this house. I've lived in Maynard all my life, except 2 years in the service during the Korean War. And I've lived in Maynard all my life. And in this house for 76 years this coming July. Let's see what else. This all started with a Reader's Digest article in May 1962, an article called "To Bring Back the Bluebirds." A friend of mine, Al Christenell, saw the article and brought it to my attention, and the article stressed probably building bluebird boxes, nesting boxes, would help bring back the bluebirds. And so he built the first box for me. I wasn't capable of it. I flunked manual arts in the 8th grade. And so that got us started. He built most of them, but I built a few, but not as clever as his. But there were no bluebirds to be seen, and after 2 years I had about 27 bluebird boxes out.
Wow.
And never saw a bluebird yet. Well, I went to one person's house up off Summer Street in Maynard, and I said, "Oh, you got a beautiful big yard, and bluebirds like farms, fields, orchards, cemeteries, and big yards. And I have a bluebird box. Could I put one up in your yard?" He said, "Oh, I want to come in. I want to talk to you." I didn't know he worked for the local newspaper. So he asked me all these questions about it. He said, "Well, how many boxes do you have?" I said, 27. "And how many bluebirds do you have?" I said, "None." He said, "How long have you been doing this?" I said, 2 years. He said, "Oh, that's interesting." So that's how he put it in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Well, I was working as a cashier at the A&P supermarket over here on Nason Street. And the next day after the newspaper came out, I was waiting on customers. A woman came by and said, "I just saw that article, excuse me, in the newspaper about your bluebird attempts." And she said, "You've been putting up these boxes for 2 years now? And you've never seen a bluebird yet?" I said, "No." She looks at me and says, "Isn't that kind of stupid?" Well, I felt like a fool. Well, what can you say? But 2 weeks later, Ruth Patterson from Stowe called me and said, "Ray," she said, "you know that bluebird box we put on a pole at the end of the rock wall in the apple orchard up here?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I think I saw a bluebird there." I said, "Oh, God, I'll be right up." So we went up there, and sure enough, sitting on the roof on the box was a bluebird. Well, I couldn't get over it, and I felt justified with that woman in the A&P. To make matters even better, a week or two later, Ronnie Schnell from Sudbury, Haynes Road, called up and said, "I saw a bluebird on that box that you put up about 6 months ago." And I said, "You sure?" She said, "Yes." Well, that was very encouraging.
Very encouraging.
So I started building even more bluebird boxes. Eventually I wrote to the commanding officer of the ammo dump. It's now the National Wildlife Refuge off White Road in Maynard and Stowe. So I wrote to the colonel and I said, would it be possible to get access to put bird boxes up there on the many posts?
Absolutely.
A 6 mile. They said, "Yes, okay, but just make sure you check in at the the front with the people before you go in. So they gave me an okay to go in there, and I went in there every single weekend and to check the boxes, and it was very encouraging.
How many boxes do you think you put in the nature reserve then?
How many were up there? I would say about every 400 feet I would put one on a pole, on a post.
Wonderful.
So there might have been maybe 80 or 100 boxes up there. And I kept that going on for several years. And there were other places that, my friend Alphonse, the one who built the first Bluebird box for me, used to golf up here at what's it, John? Stowaway?
Stowaway was the old golf course, yeah.
Okay. He used to golf up there, and John and Marcia Malone, who owned that property, mentioned to him one day, I've got 3 Bluebird boxes out there on some of the trees, the pine trees, but the sparrows keep killing them and going inside and killing them. And she said, I'd like to get my bluebirds back, or swallows, bluebirds and swallows in those 3 boxes. And he said, well, I have a friend who might be able to help you. So he took me up there the next week, and sure enough, the only way to encourage the bluebirds to come back, I found out, was to evict the sparrows.
Yeah.
And then I saw other places up there that I could put more boxes up there too. Well, over the years, I think I wound up about 18 or 19 boxes up there, and I'd go up every weekend.
What did you do to take care of the boxes? What did you have to do?
I'm sorry?
How did you take care of the boxes when you went to check on them?
Well, I'd tear out the nests, break up the nests.
You mean the sparrow nests?
The sparrow nests,
right,
yes.
Right.
I kept breaking them up, and well, eventually, I was more than welcome up there, even though I didn't know anything about golf, but I spent more time on the golf course than I spent anywhere else. And of course, she and her husband and their children were very interested in wildlife up there anyway. So I had that property for I don't know how many years. And 10 years ago, when I was up to about 45 boxes, I couldn't do it all by myself anymore. So I called the local newspaper and said, can you do an article about the bluebirds? I have bluebird boxes scattered all around, but I just can't take care of it all anymore. And so they wrote an article, and John Calabria replied to that article, came and met me, and I showed him the Stowaway Country Club. And I did have boxes also up here at the Mill Pond in Maynard.
Did you? Okay.
I had about 8 or 10 boxes up there at the Mill Pond in Maynard.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of why I had so many boxes. They weren't all up in Stowaways. Some were in the Mill Pond and other places scattered. I had some along Route 117 between Maynard and Concord to 9 Acre Corner. Well, anyway, that kept me very busy.
I would think so. Yeah.
Every weekend, and of course, other times in between.
Do you feed the bluebirds?
I didn't know anything about. At that time, mealworms weren't known to be. Mealworms only came to be known in the last 10 or 12 years. Excuse me. So I really didn't feed them. Whatever I put out for them, Oh, I did find a place in California and another place in Ohio, I think, that sold live mealworms. So I ordered them 5,000 at a time, and they would come in wrapped in newspaper. But there were so many, I'd put them in 3 different containers and put the container where it was cool and dark in the cellar. And you'd have to feed them to keep them alive. You know, slices of apple, potato, lettuce, carrots. And it was an awful lot to take care of them. So I did feed those worms, live worms,
Yes.
to the bluebirds, and they loved it.
I'm sure they did.
That even brought more bluebirds.
Yes.
But about 10 or 12 years ago, dried mealworms had started being imported into this country from China. And so it was more convenient. It was an awful lot of work taking care of the live mealworms.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went into dried mealworms.
Right.
I buy a 10-pound bag at a time, which is a lot cheaper than the 10 or 12 ounces that you get. What was that? Just flew out of the bird feeder.
I just saw something go by.
Probably a starling or a robin. Anyway, it's mealworm, dried mealworms now, because the wet ones, the live ones, were too much to take care of.
It's a lot of work. It's like running a farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when John came on 10 years ago, and he brought a friend, Mark Higgins, along too, and then we needed another article written, so we went to the Stowe newspaper and they did another article, and another woman joined us, Stephanie joined us. Eventually we picked up one here and one there, and now we're up to about 10 or 12. Not all of them are active.
Yeah.
You got some helpers now?
We've
Yeah.
got some helpers and some people, and you know.
Yeah, we have some helpers, but I had an article in the Action Unlimited, March 15, on page 12, was saying that there are 6 or 7 of us taking care of 75 bluebird boxes in the area.
Amazing.
But we find we can't do it all by ourselves anymore. So about 5 or 6 people responded to that. And
Are you looking for more helpers? Or are you right for the time being?
Yes and no. See,
Yeah.
most of the 75 boxes are not in Maynard now.
I see.
And we did hope that some of them would help John with his boxes in Acton, the seniors garden, the garden for seniors in Acton.
Yeah.
He's got other boxes in Groton and where?
Boxborough, Shirley. There's some we still maintain the boxes up in the old Stowe golf course, and we're some of the only people allowed out there. They are refurbishing the golf course and hope to reopen it sometime, but it remains open space, and some of Ray's original boxes are still there in service, and we've replaced it a few as well. We've got we had the local school involved, the vocational school over in Marlborough Hudson area, and they built some boxes for us. And we were able to replace some of the old ones that were falling apart. So it's been quite a ride here for the last 10 years or so.
Yes,
It's exciting
like
to get some new people on board.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what is it about bluebirds? Why are you interested in bluebirds?
Because they were on the verge of extinction.
Were they?
Yes, and according to that Reader's Digest article in May 1962, they were on the verge of extinction. And of course, it took me 2 years before I saw my first bluebird, after 27 boxes put up in the area.
Right.
And I'd go to, I remember I went to the Whalen Library I printed out about 50, 100 copies of How to Save the Bluebird, and I went to the library and said, could I stack these up for people to pick up? She said, no. And a couple houses I would ask, you know, they got a big yard, could I put a box in your yard? No. So that was in the beginning.
So very surprising. I think you'd get a different reaction now from people. People are very interested.
Yes,
now.
now they're almost quite common around here now. I'm not going to count on me, because there must have been, a lot of people read that Reader's Digest article all around the country. But that article by Mr. Musselman, I think was his name, Musselman, from Quincy, Illinois, he wrote that article to bring back the bluebirds.
And how do you think the bluebirds are doing overall in this country then?
They are increasing, but not fast enough.
Okay.
The sparrows were imported into this country in 1850. 1,000 in Central Park in New York, and later on 1,000 in Forest Park in Springfield, Mass. They found no natural enemies, so they exploded at the expense of the Native American birds. See, there weren't any, nobody knew anything about bird boxes then. The bluebirds that were here found nesting holes in trees that woodpeckers had made, or in old fence posts around cow pastures that had holes in the fence post. So the sparrows took over all those sites.
Right.
And but this article by Mr. Musselman stated, if enough people put up nesting bluebird boxes and take care of them, it's important to take care of them, because you got to clean out the old nests.
Right.
Because they're loaded with maybe bird lice or blowflies, which work their way up through the nest and suck the blood out of the babies. And there's a lot of fatalities because they've lost their blood.
Is there somewhere people can buy bluebird boxes that you know of?
They can buy them almost anywhere, hardware stores, garden supply stores, any. I know Walmart, you get a lot of Walmart, eBay, or you get a lot of them on eBay.
Yeah.
Or you could even make them yourself.
Yeah.
Just by going online, how to make a bluebird box or swallow box, because both birds use the same box.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And also chickadees, nuthatches, tufted titmouse, wrens, they all favor this box with those dimensions.
Okay.
The hole has to be 1.5 inch or 1 5/8 inch, 6 inches up from the floor to attract these birds. The box has to have drainage holes in case rain blows in, and they got to have holes near under the roof for hot air to flow out, so they don't burn, suffocate. Am I missing something, John?
No, it sounds right on, Ray. I mean, you know your bluebirds. I don't think you give yourself enough credit for helping the population come back, because you took 2 years to find your first bluebird. Now at least twice a week people tell me about seeing bluebirds, sometimes for the first time in their yard, and they ask me, how do I get a bluebird box? I want a bluebird box. And it's really great, and I think, you know, a lot has to do with you, the early on people who started putting boxes up. And I know you didn't put them all up, but you put a significant amount up. And each nesting season they can have at least 2 clutches, and sometimes they go for a third. The first one's usually 5, then 4, then 3, but that's how many is that? You know, that's 12 birds if they all make it, times how many bluebird boxes, and the generations, it's exponential.
Now, unfortunately, the sparrows in some places are winning out, the English sparrows.
Yeah.
They're not protected by law because they're an import into this country.
Yeah.
Like I said, the people from England who came over to this country felt so sorry for us, because we didn't have birds that they loved back home that Shakespeare wrote about. Shakespeare wrote a lot about sparrows and starlings.
Right.
And this group from England brought all these birds over.
Yes. Well, I apologise on behalf of those British people.
Yes. They, they were sorry after 2 or 3 years.
I'm sure. Yeah, they're very, very invasive.
Well, the same thing is happening now with other plants and strange animals and snakes that are in this country now that were brought in accidentally, or people let Burmese snakes that were pets.
Yes.
They throw them out in the swamp in Florida, and
yes.
I say God put the English sparrows in Europe, not in the United States.
Right.
So those 2,000 English sparrows in Central Park and Forest Park in Springfield, now there must be 100 million English sparrows, not only in the United States, but Canada, Central America, and South America.
Oh, they've gone all the way down there. Yeah. Can we have a look around outside?
Oh, certainly. Let's go out.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's right.
Yes, I checked on 2 boxes this morning, evicted a couple sparrows, and then I have some swallow nests and bluebird nests to check on in Acton, over at the community gardens.
Good, good.
So you're using the same boxes for swallows? And
yes,
you just encourage both?
We encourage bluebirds, but we love the swallows as well, and the swallows and the bluebirds don't compete for food, because the things like Ray taught me are swallows eat out of the air on the wing, and bluebirds eat off the ground almost exclusively. So they'll live next to each other, no problem, as roommates in houses closer together.
I didn't know the swallows would use these boxes.
That's they love them.
Yeah.
And there's one I have now with 6 eggs. That's, the parents are very dutiful sitting on them. And I have my fingers crossed, my toes crossed for them.
I'm not sure whether I got a bird nest in that box out there, John, what I call the coat wire box. But the last 2 days, sparrows and swallows are arguing over those 2 boxes right there. Mark put that other one out only about 5 days ago.
You told me he was over here, yeah.
They're probably too close to each other, but see that other box down by the river? I aimed it toward the river because the swallows love to be near water.
Absolutely.
I haven't seen anybody go near that. The swallows seem to want this box right here too close to the bluebirds. And every time the swallows land on that box, the bluebird chases it away.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go out and look at it. And there's not only the bugs, but once in a while a bumblebee gets in there, and then they die in there because they can't get anything to eat.
A beautiful garden. It's incredible.
Well, I can't take care of it anymore.
And it goes right down to the river.
Oh yes.
It's fantastic.
And see that other box down by the river?
Yeah.
Facing toward the river. I was hoping the swallows would take that box over.
Oh, interesting.
And then that box had a wren 2 years ago. And this, like I said, is a brand new box put up within the week.
Yeah.
And this is the box that the bluebirds favor, as well as that one outside around the corner there.
Uh-huh. They have favorites, these birds.
Oh, yes.
That's where the sparrows are right now. And Mark comes by 2 or 3 days a week to swap eggs. You can walk down by the river. I'm not going to go any further than this.
He swaps the eggs? He takes out the sparrow eggs?
He addles them. He takes 2 eggs out of 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Marks them, brings them home, puts them in the refrigerator for 2 days, brings them back and swaps those for other eggs. Keep swapping them.
So the sparrows will give up and go away, basically, because
No, they find out that the eggs aren't hatching.
and then they leave.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully they leave, right? But at least you don't have more sparrows to deal with.
Right.
Yeah.
It sort of keeps them busy.
Keeps them out of the way.
Keeps them busy, and they
Yep.
think they have viable eggs, and
Yes.
they leave the bluebirds alone
Ah,
for the
yes.
most part.
I see.
But sometimes if you do something to the nest or damage the eggs or something, there can be retribution. So there's a lot of emotion involved, and the sparrows will go in the box and be lethal
Oh my
to
goodness.
the native birds. And it
Yeah.
seems to be, this is the anthropomorphic, but it seems to be spite.
Right.
So,
There's a whole
when you-
drama going on here that we don't normally
yeah,
That's right.
be aware of.
when
yeah.
you do this cold treatment to the eggs, they're not going to hatch,
Yeah.
but it gives the sparrows something to do.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
the idea around it.
Can you tell me if there's anything in here?
Yeah.
I don't know whether the bluebirds have built a nest in there. I don't think so, but check anyway.
Hello, anybody home? This is one of the strange boxes that opens
Ah.
in
The
a
swallows
non-preferred
and the
way.
sparrows are having a big fight over that.
We're completely empty, Ray. So this box needs to be replaced, obviously. There's some tape, there's some fungus growing over the tape. It's not the preferred design, but we use whatever comes, you know?
Yeah.
And on the back, this box was falling off, and a couple years ago, I took a coat hanger and some wire and held it on because the birds really wanted it. So for 2 years we've said, we're going to replace this box, we're going to replace this box, but they love it so much, and
It's a
stable,
favorite. There's something
it's
about the box. Right?
safe.
Yeah.
nothing's going to happen, so we leave it.
Yeah.
I call that the coat wire box because it's held together by whole coat wire.
Yes. And somebody's in here?
No, but they're fighting over these two boxes. The swallow lands on that, the bluebird comes from over there and chases them away. The swallow will come here, the bluebird will chase them away from here too. So, and I have seen no activity in those two boxes down there.
I'll go check on them.
Yeah, okay, John, I'd appreciate that.
Do bluebirds like to be by the water?
Bluebirds love open grass like this because they eat off the ground.
Uh-huh.
Swallows vacuum bugs out of the air, so they love flying over open spaces. So watch out for these.
Yes.
I don't know what used to be there. This is the preferred design. They open this way.
Oh, that's
You
very
can
nice.
see inside.
Yeah.
You can see swallows use this box because they're some of the worst tenants. They make such a mess. Bluebirds are impeccable, and you wouldn't even know anyone was in there. But yeah, swallows. we
Well,
disinfect-
they like to stick their nests to the walls with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn it the way Ray had this. And this one here, this is sort of indicative of some of the boxes I found when Ray first found me a decade ago. Ad hoc boxes, you know, how the hole was drilled with a small drill and then punched the
Oh
hole.
yes.
Held together with tape.
Yes.
We replaced them.
Been
We've
doing a little
replaced
bit of
many.
upgrade. What tree is that?
Golden chain, Laburnum Vorse.
Oh, is that right?
Here he goes with his Latin.
Ah. Ha.
Say the name of it again, Ray.
It's a laburnum.
Oh, that one,
It's a golden-
Laburnum
golden-
Vorse. I've seen several of them in Norway. They seem to like them in Norway. The yellow clusters like sort of like a lilac, but hanging upside down, yellow.
And what-
Remember when you put it in?
Oh, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And here's a
And this is another one.
That's
Yeah.
the same
Yep.
from a seed.
Baby.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to have flowers this year for the first time, 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
They've never had flowers on this one before. It came from the seed from up there.
There is a stunning dogwood there. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that
beautiful
the
thing.
pink dogwood.
Yeah.
There was a world traveler in his day, too.
I can't take care of this any longer, so I don't even bother. I'll just let them fight it out.
Yeah, yeah. It's time, I think. But it's. I mean, we've got so much growing here.
There's tulips over there,
Yeah.
usually
Yeah,
majestic.
up to 2 years ago, I was able to take care of it, and
Yeah.
even last year I could do a little bit, but not any longer.
Yeah.
Well, if there's anything that just really needs to be done, let me know. You know, can't do it all, but if there's any, little
I'm
triage.
going to let this fight it out this year anyway.
Looks like the iris is going to pop here.
Yeah.
And what's this very old tree here?
That's a flowering crabapple.
It's enormous for
And,
a crab apple. isn't
Over
it?
there would be a maple, the red maple.
Yeah. Well, the crab apple will be feeding a lot of wildlife, won't it? And that looks like, is that an ash? What is that? That really tall one with a hole in it.
The one right behind the garage
Yeah.
barn,
Yeah, what's that?
that's an invasive that they say should not be in this country.
Uh-huh.
It's called tree of heaven.
Oh, that, really?
Tree of heaven.
Okay.
But to me, it's a tree from hell. They're so invasive.
Yeah, it's a dilemma, isn't it, to know what
They're so
to do with them.
invasive.
Yeah.
Some of these go way back. There's
Oh,
original
yes.
ones.
We've got to work on that one, John.
I know.
It's got
Yeah,
potential.
when we found
Come on.
them, they were like, it's got good bones, and in this market, this is a good flip. We could flip this.
Yeah.
Yeah, new carpet, gray paint. That gray, thick flipping paint, but yeah. Yeah, that one's retired.
So, which is your favorite time of year, eh?
Oh yes.
This?
May
May,
and
this is
June
it.
are terrific. I love them.
Yeah.
Well, the bluebirds, nobody has come there while we've been out.
Oh, that's pretty. That's
a
a.
nuthatch.
Oh, yeah.
A nuthatch.
What have you been feeding in that little feeder there? What you put in there?
What's in there? He's taking sunflower seed or peanuts,
Okay.
unsalted peanuts.
There's not much in there, Ray. Do you want me to put some in there?
No, I don't put too much in there because, in fact, I cleaned it out this morning, put in fresh stuff there because it got wet the other day when it rained, and once the seed gets wet, nobody comes. So I cleaned it out this morning, hoping somebody would come. I did get a few bluebirds when they weren't fighting with the swallows over these 2 boxes.
With this weather, there's a lot of bugs too, and we want to encourage the bug eating.
Yeah, and of course, even robins go up there and take some of the mealworms.
In class this morning, I was talking about how the old Japanese culture, they recognize 72 individual seasons. So we have 4 seasons. They recognize 72 individual seasons.
Well, of course, that's a large country north and south.
Yeah.
Just like, our country north and south. We can't grow palm trees here.
But what they count is like individual flowers blooming for the first time, seeing the first swan on the lake.
Yes.
Each new seeing, each new noticing is an individual season. So they celebrate nature.
That's right. The first swallow is always.
The first swallow, the first bluebird, the lilacs are blooming.
Yeah.
So
are the bluebirds migratory?
Do they what?
Do they migrate?
They did until it started warming up about 20 years ago.
Really?
Originally, it was a thrill to see them, the first one in the spring, not too long ago.
Yes.
But this is about the same time when dried mealworms were being imported into this country from China.
Yeah.
So now they stay here all winter long, the bluebirds.
I see. Okay.
In fact, I had as many as 8 or 9 all at once during the winter. Up until, what, 3 weeks ago, I was getting more than 1 pair of bluebirds. But now it's time for them to start hunkering down, and they
Right.
chase other bluebirds away. There's only so much food
Yep.
in a given area for one
Yep.
family.
Yep. Yep.
So they chase other bluebirds away. So now I'm only down to 2 bluebirds. And see, they haven't even started their nest yet. And yet, up at the cemetery, robin is starting on a second nest, right at my own family stone. And oh yes, there's another second try of swallows at the Calabria stone.
Oh, my grandmother's stone, yeah.
Nice.
We have boxes in
Ah.
little plots.
Right. Right.
Yeah, there was a swallow started up at that box, the Calabria box, 2 weeks ago, and a sparrow killed it.
Depressing.
And now another
Yeah.
swallow is starting
Yeah.
in the same box, and I hope they don't get killed also.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, John has been my best, greatest helper for the last 10 years.
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you got him hooked. Somehow you got him hooked.
Well,
Now he's in.
We're great friends, and I love spending time with Ray.
I really loved going up to the golf course, because to me it was like my secret garden.
Yeah.
Because we had the whole
Yeah.
place to ourselves, and only
Right.
he and I were allowed to go in there,
Right.
and only if it wasn't wet, because a lot of the boxes along the river's edge,
Yes.
and some places it's too muddy. We can hardly even get in there ourselves without
Right.
boots.
Right.
So now I just go up there, but if you want to take a ride out there, let's go sometime.
No, it'd be too much for getting in and out of the car and trying to walk even a few steps.
Well, you could stay in the car and drive you around. Just think about it if you want to go up there.
Well, oh yeah, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
But I can take care of the boxes.
Well, I think we ought to go in now.
Yes.
It's
This is
I
you've
don't have a jacket on or anything.
shown us so much. It's quite wonderful. I think people will be really interested to hear about these bluebirds.
I love that dogwood tree.
So-
3 or 4 of them coming up here. There was a rabbit right here about 2 hours ago. He stayed there for about an hour. And I threw out an old hot dog roll right here. There's nothing left now.
Yeah,
I
something got it.
I wet it and cut it up in 4 pieces to see who would take it. Well, the grackles came and took it.
So where was the eagle? Up in the tree of heaven.
See that branch? Well, that bird just flew past that
Yeah.
branch sticking out that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
He was on that branch
Lovely.
heading west.
What other wildlife? You've had deer and raccoons.
Oh yeah, I've had
and-
deer down when the bird bath was down there with the what are those things?
Hostas.
Hostas.
Hostas, yeah. The bird bath was down there until 2 weeks ago when I had it moved up here. So no, I can't go any further than that box to sit out over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course there's a thistle feeder here, and there's
Oh,
3
that's a
suet
thistle
feeders inside the lilac bush.
Yeah. What's the who eats the thistle seeds?
Goldfinch like the thistle. Some chickadees will take it, and 1 or 2 other birds will take it too, but mostly the goldfinches. I don't have too many goldfinches. I just see 2 yellow ones yesterday. Yeah, there's 3 suet feeders in here.
Yes.
It was just a little woodpecker, a little downy woodpecker in there while we were talking.
Oh, I did see one of the bigger woodpeckers. 3 or 4 days in a row earlier this week, a flicker was right here, anting. They eat ants.
They are beautiful, aren't they? Yeah.
There's a robin down there looking.
I was reading about how they like to sort of squat down on an anthill and let the ants come into their feathers, and the ants I'm not sure if they're eating the mites or the ants have some it's called
Yeah.
fumaric acid or something
Yeah,
on the ants, and it helps like an antiseptic or antibacterial.
Oh,
So the birds like to get the ants all over them, and then they shake them off.
I didn't know that.
So it's this
See, John
mutually
knows quite a bit.
beneficial thing.
Oh, there's the is that a downy woodpecker?
Yeah, yeah.
It's very sweet.
Oh yeah, that's a female downy.
I hear a catbird.
Oh yeah, they were 2 catbirds here, a pair, for 2 or 3 days when they first arrived last week.
You hear them
But-
singing up there.
They'll build their nest, I'm sure, in that mock orange over by the wall. The catbirds always build there. And there's also a, what's that bird that they usually nest on shelves underneath?
You mean the robins?
No,
Or Carolina wren?
no. It's a smaller bird. At a glance,
Phoebe.
Phoebe, yeah.
Oh, the phoebes.
He's got a nest somewhere around here too. He sits on the box here and studies the ground and jumps down and grabs something.
He's been a wildlife preserve for a long time, Ray. There goes a cardinal, male cardinal up there on the dogwood.
Oh yeah, the female and male cardinal, they've already come to this feeder here behind us twice today. Okay.
So this has been quite fantastic, Ray.
Oh yes.
I really appreciate you sharing all
Did-
of your knowledge about bluebirds with us.
Did you see the article that was written about John and I?
No, I did not.
Oh,
Maybe John can send that to me too.
write your email address right there on
Yeah.
that pad.
Yes, I will. Yeah.